to our channel. Today we're going to discuss the electrophysiology of heart, that is related to cardiac action potentials, how the action potentials convert into like excitation, contraction, coupling going on in heart. So the main electrophysiology of heart takes place in myocardium. We know our heart has pericardium, endocardium, myocardium. So myocardium is a middle muscle layer in which this electrical physiology takes place. So this myocardium is mainly divided into two types, like specialized myocardium and contractile myocardium. This specialized myocardium is also called as nodal cells. So these nodal cells actually don't have any contractile property. These are like bundle branches, SA node, it has maximum automaticity, and AV node which have slow conduction. Purkinje fibers or Purkinje cells have the fast conduction. And next, the contractile myocardium. It has mainly atrial and ventricular components. Atrial, it undergoes depolarization process, undergo contraction, and also ventricular process. So we can see the contractile myocardium mainly also have actin, myosin, uh, sarcoplasmic reticulum, troponin, tropomyosin. So all those kinds of proteins are associated with the contractile myocardium. So this plays a major role in contraction, and this non-contractile part have S and AV which have slow conductive pathways, whereas Purkinje is a fast conduction pathway. So now we'll start our chapter. So you can see the myocardial cells are mainly electrical syncytium because they contact as a single unit. Sodium potassium ATPases are present in every cell, and it can form only about minus 5 millivolts of electronegativity, but not an RMP, you can understand, because to form an RMP it's like about minus 90 millivolts. To form that kind of negative charge, only sodium potassium ATPase are not enough. Sodium potassium ATPase pumps out 3 sodium out of the cell and brings only 2 potassium out to cell. So you can see lot of like 3 potassium, more amount of 3 sodium, right? More amount of positive charge is getting outward and only 2 potassium are coming inward, means less positive charge inside, but this is creating only minus 5 millivolts. It's not required to form a resting membrane potential. So sodium alone sodium can't enter the cell in a resting membrane potential, and highly permeable to potassium and goes out of the cell. So cell becomes more electronegative, and both the potassium inside and outside becomes equal and form a equilibrium potential. It's called as Nernst equilibrium potential for potassium. It's like about minus 85. So this is a condition where when amount of potassium going out is equal to uh, the electronegativity, means potassium is now equal outside and inside. That stage is called as Nernst potential or equilibrium potential for potassium. That creates about minus 85 millivolts. So action potential is nothing but the potential differs across the membrane when in action. So RMP, with the help of sodium calcium, it gets a stimulus inside the cell. Less negative from moves on to minus 90 to minus 85, and the plus 10 also become depolarize by letting out potassium out, and the both activation and inactivation gates get activated, and the inactivation gates of sodium close slowly and sodium enter inside, lead to depolarization. You can understand sodium is positively charged. This actually we already discussed in a skeletal muscle. Once again, just we'll revision it so you can understand it clearly now. So sodium enters in, positive charge is entering in. So actually resting membrane potential is around minus 90, like that. So because of entering of sodium, it's positive charge, so now it can reach a level of depolarization. That is first, it of course first it should reach to the threshold, and after threshold only it undergoes the process of depolarization followed by repolarization, which is nothing but an action potential. All this takes place with the help of opening of sodium and calcium channels. So threshold, the potential at which the cell turns from RMP to depolarization, like about minus 70. So inactivation gates of sodium are closed once a cell reach depolarization. Now we can understand, after reaching the depolarization, inactivation gates are closed. Either inactivation or activation, any gate of the sodium is closed, means it is closed. So now sodium can't get inside more, and gradually the voltage gated potassium channels open. So because of opening of potassium channels, now we can understand the cell is again moving towards the resting membrane potential. It is becoming again negative. So they go out and become slightly negative, and the voltage gated calcium channels open and calcium enter in. So the cations out is equal to cations in to form a plateau. Yeah. So exactly how the plateau forms in a cardiac muscle is mainly the amount of potassium going out is getting equal to the amount of calcium getting in. So as the calcium is coming in and the potassium is going out, so equal amount of positive charges are coming in, and equal amount of positive charges are going out. So you can understand they get equal, and they form a plateau stage. and gradually the calcium channels close and more loss of potassium, so the cell is repolarized and re-established its same electronegativity or resting membrane potential. And the active part of membrane transfers to the neighboring cells, and they also start stimulating other area. So it also undergoes depolarization. Depolarization activates another membrane by gap junctions. So for example, what I have said, this action potentials is going, for example, first in this cell. So with the help of with help of this gap junctions, even this stimulus passes here, because this activates now voltage gated sodium channels to open, and sodium also enter here, and it reaches to threshold, from RMP to threshold, and the wave of depolarization followed by repolarization occurs. So this is how from one cell to other it sweeps away. And next, of course, this is now again attached to uh, one more cardiac cell. So like this, you can understand it's working as a syncytium. They just pass by the gap junctions and continue like this. Now let us say, what is automaticity. Automaticity, it undergoes the depolarization continuously without any stimulus. Actually nerves are involved to form these action potentials. When they get fired, then only action potential forms. But here in this case of cardiac muscle, it is a self excitatory. It can form its own action potentials. It doesn't need any nervous stimulus. But you can think that if no nervous stimulus, then heart is under regulation of nerves. Yeah, of course it's in regulation, but it doesn't require any stimulation to form it. So it is now automaticity. It undergoes depolarization continuously. Example, we have our SA node. SA node has a sodium potassium ATPase like all cells, and they have leaky sodium channels, so it can reach the RMP, and it just like minus 60. So for SA node or heart cell, it's the RMP is only minus 60 millivolts, and the sodium gated channels are dysfunctional in these cells. So, and the RMP is only minus 60, and it reaches threshold, and the calcium gated channels open, so they take membrane to depolarization, and gradually potassium efflux takes place, so channels open and undergo repolarization. So everything is same like a skeletal muscle, but the only difference in the SA node is, in a skeletal muscle normally average RMP is like about minus 90 millivolts, but coming to SA node, you can see its RMP is only minus 60 millivolts. So it's having very low action RMP. And you can see the calcium dependent channels cause depolarization, whereas potassium dependent, calcium dependent depolarization, potassium dependent repolarization is in SA nodal cells. Calcium dependent depolarization means it is not mainly depending on sodium, it is dependent on calcium. As calcium is getting more inside, it is leading to depolarization. And potassium dependent repolarization means, as this is common in even a skeletal muscle, right? As potassium efflux takes place, repolarization occurs. So now let us move on to SA nodal depolarization mainly lead to the adjacent atrial cell sodium dependent depolarization, and in turn leads to other cells depolarization. So originally in SA node it is calcium dependent depolarization, but in adjacent cell it is leading to sodium dependent depolarization, which is common. And in SA node the sodium channels only take from repolarization to threshold. Yeah, sodium channels in SA node mainly help to take the cell from RMP to threshold. Where the calcium channels play an important role, they take the potential from the threshold to the depolarization. So always remember, calcium play a very important role in our SA node. Our sodium plays very important role in our skeletal muscle. Because of sodium only depolarization is taking place in a skeletal muscle. But in the case of our cardiac muscle, mainly the depolarization is taking because of calcium. So this is called as calcium dependent depolarization and potassium dependent repolarization in the case of SA node. So threshold is also known as prepotential. This is very important term keyword. So threshold is also known as prepotential. The presence of this wave of prepotential always put the cell depolarized, and it is a unique feature of SA nodal cell. So in SA nodal cell there is always presence of prepotential, means always there is already threshold. You can understand, when there is continuous threshold, then the cell undergoes continuously excitation. It continuously gets stimulated. So this is a special feature of SA node, that is for every 0.8 second it produces a depolarizing current. So this is very important, the SA node, for every 0.8 second it produces the depolarization current. So now we can see the SA nodal action potential over here. So first it's at RMP. Because of sodium influx, it has come to threshold. Because of calcium influx, it has come to depolarization, and because of potassium influx, it has come on to our back to repolarization. So this is about a SA node action potential. So you can see atrial tissue action potential, it is a short plateau. So always remember, in SA node there is no plateau formation. See, no plateau formation. But in the case of atrial tissue there is a plateau formation. So you can see action potential short plateau is seen in the case of our atria, in atria, right? First it's RMP, next because of sodium it is going to form a depolarization, and because of, I said, calcium influx and potassium efflux, it is causing a plateau, and after plateau because of potassium efflux it is leading to repolarization. So you can see it is plateau. Plateau is seen clearly in the case of our atrial tissue. Action potential in SA node there is no plateau. And now let us see the AV node. AV node action potential, you can see it is similar to SA node. Yeah, it also have continuous prepotential. So because of this continuous prepotential only they are able to produce this continuous action potentials in the case of our SA node or either AV node. So in AV node also you can see there is prepotential and it undergoes a process of depolarization similar. First RMP, because of sodium it comes to threshold, and also because of sodium only it undergoes the process of depolarization, and because of potassium efflux it undergoes the process of repolarization. So, but the difference between AV node and SA node is, but the less automaticity because of less gap junctions and small cells. AV node actually, it has lesser diameter and also lesser automaticity because of mainly less gap junctions. You can understand, when more gap junctions, then more action potentials can pass very faster. But because of an AV node, there are small gap junctions. They move somewhat slower when compared with the SA node. And now let us see the Purkinje cells. So Purkinje cells, just little prepotential, they have little prepotential but long plateaus are seen and small depolarization, that to sodium dependent depolarization, and they are mainly having fast depolarization. Hence you can see the Purkinje cells are called as fast conducting fibers when compared with the SA node and AV node. SA and AV node are slow conducting fibers, whereas Purkinje is fast because they are having a sodium dependent fast depolarization. So same here also plateau is seen. So the question is now where the plateaus are seen in our action potentials of heart muscle. So mainly the plateaus are seen in our atrial tissue and also plateaus are seen in the Purkinje cells. So SAAV node or calcium dependent depolarization, yeah, it's done. So remember even in AV node it is calcium dependent depolarization, right? So SAAV node calcium dependent depolarization, atrial ventricular Purkinje sodium dependent depolarization, and plateaus are seen in our uh, where atrial tissue. In atrial tissue the plateau is seen and also in our Purkinje cells. So that's it. So these are the very important points to see in our electrophysiology of heart. And now let us see the sodium dependent depolarization. Yeah, it's fast, straight, whereas calcium dependent depolarization is slow and curved. Hence the calcium dependent depolarization is seen in SA node and AV node. So actually calcium dependent depolarization is slow because it's curved. If it is straight you can understand it's very fast. If it curved it is somewhat hard to travel, right? Because it should go like this and again come, means the time is decreased, right? Because now again it should go like this, but if one straight like this easily can go. So fast, straight, sodium dependent depolarization, slow, curved, calcium dependent depolarization. Now let us see the SA node, which is a major pacemaker. So you can see there is non-prepotential contractile ventricular myocardium, and sodium dependent the plateau is longer. So the plateau is longer here. RMP, depolarization, the same thing we have discussed. Now we'll see the autonomic nervous system and cardiac electrical and mechanical activity. So this is mainly divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic. You can only remember the means when they are fired, especially S for stress. So whenever in a stressful condition, sympathetic is fired. Parasympathetic, P for peace. Whenever your P is relaxed, then the parasympathetic is activated. So let us see what happens in these conditions to our heart. So whenever we are excited, what heart also excited or not, or whenever we are depressed, means peaceful, our heart also get peaceful. So let us see. So first sympathetic cardiac nerves, mainly circulating acetylcholines and norepinephrine from the nerve endings and epinephrines from adrenal medulla. So these are released in the case of sympathetic cardiac nerves, and the parasympathetic vagus mainly right side, vagus is moving to right side to SA node and left side to the AV node, and both vagus mainly release the acetylcholine and work on the local neurons, which also in turn release acetylcholine and act on muscarinic receptors, which are present on only SA node very high. On SA node this muscarinic receptors are very high, and even on AV node atrial very few, and they are not present on the ventricles. So Now let us start the pathway. So epinephrine, norepinephrine mainly stimulate the beta receptors on cardiac tissue. So the beta 1 are mainly present in both excitable and contractile tissue, that is SA node, AV node, atrial tissue, Purkinje system, ventricular contractile myocardium. So the right vagus mainly stimulates the SA node, whereas the left vagus stimulates the AV node. So this is very important. Right side, right vagus, SA node, left vagus, AV node. So the sympathetic system increases the heartbeat and parasympathetic system decreases the heartbeat. So the beta 1 receptors of adrenergic system and serpentine receptor, 7-pass receptor, and the epinephrine pass to the extracellular domain and stimulate the intracellular domain, and it is attached with the G stimulatory protein. They are having alpha, beta and gamma domains, and the alpha can identify it and get stimulated and lose the GDP and acquire the GDP. So actually now we are going to discuss the sympathetic pathway. So whenever we stress, what happens? The beta receptors of adrenergic system is mainly serpentine 7-pass receptor, and the epinephrine is passing to the extracellular domain, you can understand. So because of this, this epinephrine is attached to the 7-pass receptor and stimulate the intracellular domain, which is mainly G stimulatory, GS. Right. So this GS have alpha, beta, gamma domains, and alpha mainly identify it and get stimulated and lose the GDP and acquire the GTP. And now while acquiring the GTP, this alpha just leaves it bond with the beta and gamma. So the G stimulatory protein is a trimeric protein, and the active alpha stimulatory divides from the beta and gamma and reaches the adenylyl cyclase protein and stimulate it, and now has already alpha has GTP, so it is converted into ATP to cyclic AMP. Now this alpha GTP is helpful to convert the ATP to the cyclic AMP. Now this cyclic AMP, which is intracellular secondary messenger, which drives the stimulation of protein kinase A. So now this protein kinase A has this will lead to phosphorylation of many proteins, including the calcium channels. They are activated. So now the influx of calcium takes place, and this leads to the threshold potential in the cardiac cell and internally to the action potential. So this is how this mechanism, that is release of epinephrine from the sympathetic nervous system acting on a serpentine receptor. It has alpha, beta, gamma, G stimulatory, right? That alpha releases means it leaves this beta and gamma, and alpha alone converts the ATP into cyclic AMP, and this cyclic AMP in turn phosphorylases what is this cyclic AMP phosphorylases the membrane proteins and no, this cyclic AMP activates the protein kinase A. This protein kinase A phosphorylates the protein's calcium channels, so that calcium channels activated. So calcium influx takes place, depolarization followed by you can understand. Sympathetic system innervates the action potential formation in a cardiac muscle. So by this, the automaticity is increased by sympathetic activity. So the heart rate increases, and this is called as positive chronotropic reaction. So when our heart rate is related to chronotropic. When our heart rate increases, then we say positive chronotropic. When our heart rate decreases, we say negative chronotropic. So in this case, as heart rate is increases, so we'll say positive chronotropic reaction. Now let us see the parasympathetic. So in parasympathetic, as is peace, there we have our serpentine adrenergic system beta 1 receptors, whereas here we have our M2 receptors, muscarinic receptors, which are binded with the acetylcholine, and H and M2, that is M2 receptors, get stimulated and produce the intracellular signals to the G inhibitory. So you can see very easily there is G stimulatory, here G inhibitory. In the name only can understand it is inhibiting. So parasympathetic peace inhibits the heart rate, means not completely, it will just slow down the heart rate, means in peaceful conditions you should be, our heart also should be peaceful. So it is also a trimeric protein with alpha, beta, gamma, and now the alpha is inhibitory in stimulating and moves to the adenylyl cyclase, same pathway. This sends the inhibitory signals to provide the to protein kinase, so it reduces the calcium influx. So the action potentials and the heart rate decreases. So very simple, easy pathway to understand. So beta alpha inhibitory stimulate. Okay, potassium channels, potassium efflux starts, and cell becomes more negative, reach the RMP, so in turn action potential completely decrease. So this is how parasympathetic receptor works. So mainly you can understand sympathetic receptors work on beta 1 receptors, and parasympathetic work on M2 receptors, right? So done with this. Now the same process follows even in the AV nodal system. Loading cations sympathetic AV nodal activity increase. Deloading cations, parasympathetic means loading cations, you can understand positive ions are entering inside, so action potential is triggered, like calcium here in the case. So parasympathetic, potassium efflux is increased, lot of negatively charged, so deloading cations means we are taking away the positive charges, so AV nodal activity decreases. So this is how with sympathetic you can say activity increases, with parasympathetic it decreases. So SA nodal automaticity is modulated mainly by adrenergic cholinergic activities, that is by sympathetic and parasympathetic. But the parasympathetic is negatively chronotropic reaction, sympathetic is positively chronotropic reaction. You can understand chronotropic means related to heart rate. So parasympathetic decrease the heart rate, sympathetic increase the heart rate, right? So like this you can very easily relate. So if you understand concept, it's very easy. So AV nodal conductivity is mainly modulated by adrenergic cholinergic activities, that is sympathetic and parasympathetic. So parasympathetic have negative dromotropic reaction and sympathetic have positive dromotropic reactions. So here the word dromotropic means it is related to the conduction. So parasympathetic decrease the conduction, sympathetic increase the conduction. So like this they are related. So chronotropic related to heart rate, dromotropic related to conduction. So conduction is mainly related with AV node, SA node is mainly related with the heart rate. So that thing if you remember it's easy. Now let us see about the ventricular cell. Now what is going on inside the ventricular cell. So ventricular cell here also same process of action potential. Sodium enters from one cell to the other by gap junction. So the next voltage gated sodium channel open lead to depolarization, and next the gated potassium calcium open lead to plateau, and next gated calcium channel close, potassium continue open lead to repolarization. Same process, very simple. You can see the single line words here, very easy process. So influx of calcium stimulates the sarcoplasmic reticulum, which releases the massive calcium intracellular, and this calcium is available for contractile machinery which contain actin myosin filaments, and this calcium bind to troponin and pull the myosin away from the actin. Hey, this is pull the tropomyosin mainly. Tropomyosin away from actin, and now actin and myosin can undergo the contraction, and this mechanism is mainly electromechanical coupling which is going on in heart. So later calcium and sodium exchange is activated and remove the excess calcium in the cell and exchange with sodium, and this sodium is taken back by sodium potassium ATPase. So this is how we can say everything is in homeostatic process continuing. So in repolarization stage the calcium passage to actin and myosin is stopped, and the calcium ATPases in the sarcoplasmic reticulum take the calcium back into it by the means of Serka pumps, and contraction stop and onset of diastole. So this is how systole diastole also occurring, you can understand. So whenever the calcium is released, whenever the calcium is high, it undergoes the sliding process, that is actin and myosin form cross mixtures, then the contraction takes place, and whenever the calcium is low, the calcium is taken back by the Serka pump into sarcoplasmic reticulum. So relaxation, that is nothing but our diastole. So systole when the calcium is high, diastole when the calcium is low. Very simple process. So similar pattern continues for systole and followed by diastole. That's what we discussed. So sympathetic effect increase the calcium in cell. Of course, you can understand. If sympathetic system we are saying it is increasing the heart rate, means you can also say it is increasing the contraction, because excitation contraction coupling. Whenever the higher excitation, higher contraction. So can lead to increase in contraction, that is positive inotropic. So contraction is related to inotropic. So till now we can say a summary. Chronotropic related to SA node, it is associated with heart rate. Dromotropic related to conduction, it is also related to AV node, whereas inotropic related to sympathetic effect, that to mainly contraction with the related with calcium. So increase in calcium lead to contraction, that is positive inotropic, and you can understand now. If sympathetic effect is positive inotropic, then parasympathetic is a negative inotropic. Yeah, very well understood. So extra calcium lead to fluctuations of RMP and reach the threshold, and action potential of abnormal is produced, which produce tachyarrhythmia. Tachyarrhythmia means higher heart rate. This is also achieved by sympathetic nervous system. You can understand if there is higher sympathetic stimulation by mainly our beta 1 receptors, G stimulatory activated, all those process, cyclic AMP activated, increase the protein kinase A in turn increase lot of calcium inside the cell. This lot of calcium increases lot of contraction. This lot of contraction, if it continues for the long time, it increases the tachycardia, that is heart rate is increased, that is very much higher positive chronotropic action, right? Chronotropic reaction. So or extra systole or bathmotropic action. Yeah, bathmotropic action. Extrasystole, that is positive bathmotropic action. So this is how we need to understand about our uh, how our autonomic nervous system is related with the electrical and mechanical activities. So this is very simple overview. We will also see some important points from our textbook. That is, you can see this chapter 31 from Guyton, cardiac action potentials.